This was the prayer that built my profitable publishing company. People see my last name on the building and they assume that they know my story, but it's not the part that mattered. What I inherited was not a business. It was an assignment that somebody else received in a car on the shoulder of the road before I was even old enough to understand any of it. And at some point, I had to decide whether I believed it myself. Late summer 1982, my father was co-pastoring a church in South Central Pennsylvania. He was selling advertising for a local newspaper to pay the bills. And one day he was driving home from a sales call and the presence of God filled his car, filled it so heavily that it startled him, pulled off the road because he couldn't keep driving. And what happened on the shoulder of that road lasted 4 hours. He came out of it with an assignment and 3 words for that assignment: publish the prophets. Not publish books, not build a company. He was announcing what God was saying in print to a generation that needed to hear it. So in January of 1983, Destiny Image began in the living room of our small house. We started it with my mother. And no corporate funding, no venture capital, not even an investor presentation. Just a man that heard from God, a wife that believed him, and 1 room in the house. Now, for a long stretch, that was just simply family business. What I did not have yet, though, was the thing that he got on the side of the road. And what grew out of the living room is something that we keep as a matter of record, because Destiny Image came to be represented in just about every country on earth in nearly 100 languages, right? With millions of books distributed. And I still think it's remarkable that Destiny Image has published more African-American authors than just about any publisher in history. And he wasn't chasing a market. He was answering a phone call that he took on the side of the road from somebody important. I want to be clear about the mandate. Publishing the prophets never meant only publishing people who hold the office of prophet. It meant looking for messages with that, prophetic edge, the ones that call somebody into what God actually made them to be. Supernatural encounters, healing and deliverance, prayer, the presence and glory of God, the gifts of the Spirit, the messages with an edge on it. Now, on April 17th, 2018, my father went home to be with the Lord. He was just 66. Left was my mother, 5 sons, 7 grandchildren, and a company that had been him for 35 years. And so the question I couldn't get around that year was this. Is this it? Was this his thing or is it mine? Because you can run something out of loyalty to a man who is God, and you can do that for a while, but you can't do it for decades. Even though I had bought it in 2008, loyalty doesn't last that long. Only conviction does. Here's what we did 5 months after we buried him. In September of 2018, we acquired Harrison House Publishers, 1,100 titles. That's the publishing rights, the inventory of the whole house. And we kept the Harrison House name on every one of them because the name was not ours to erase. That was just 5 months. So think about that. When Elijah was taken up, the mantle came down and landed on the ground. And Scripture is careful about what happens next, because Elijah had to walk over and pick it up. And then he had to go down to the river, strike the water himself to find out whether anything had actually transferred or whether he was just a man holding somebody else's coat. So a mantle on the ground is fabric. It only counts if someone picks it up. Paul writes to Timothy about faith that lived first in his grandmother and then in his mother. And then he says he is persuaded it lives in Timothy too. Notice he doesn't say it was handed to Timothy. He says it came to live in him. That's a different thing entirely. If you grew up inside somebody else's calling, you know exactly how different that is. Today, Nori Media Group is home to Destiny Image, to Harrison House Publishers, and to Sound Wisdom. More than 2,000 titles across charismatic streams, and also, the leadership business lines. And Faith and Flame is our store where readers and authors actually find us. Now, same 3 words are underneath all, and I'll give you a moment that tells you whether the assignment is still alive. Because in spring of 2020, when the world shut down, our team we took a dozen titles from contract to print in 2 weeks. We signed contracts digitally, we designed and edited, we worked through weekends, and that's not a publishing schedule. That's a room full of people who don't believe the message can wait. So if you came here for how a man becomes successful as a publisher, I think I have a disappointing answer. I do not think that is what happened here. I think a man pulled off the road in 1982 and obeyed something, and that a lot of people kept obeying it after him. This company is what obedience looks like when it goes on for 4 decades. And if you're standing in something somebody else started, whether it's a business, a ministry, a church, or even a family name, then I need you to hear the part that took me a while to learn. The mantle is on the ground. It doesn't become yours because you are related to it. It becomes yours when you pick it up, when you walk down to the water, and when you find out for yourself whether God will meet you the way he met them. That's what we're doing at Nori Media Group. We are a second generation carrying an assignment that we didn't receive firsthand. And that's exactly why we hold it the way we do. We didn't build this, we picked it up. The only way to honor a thing that you were handed is to keep putting real messages into the hands of people that they were meant for. I'm Don Nori, publishing the voices that God is raising up for this generation. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.